Tech for Senior. It is episode 77. It is the 13th of September, 2021. We have about 85 people in the audience today on our Zoom meeting, and we have a bunch over on our YouTube. We broadcast this show on YouTube, so I want to thank everybody for coming today. We have a huge show for you today, so we're going to start getting into things really early. Everyone's probably going to cheer. I'm not going to talk as much. So Bob, don't you say a word. Anyway, so welcome. We are happy that you're here. For those people over on our YouTube channel, the show will be running for about 50 minutes there. We stop our live broadcast about 10 minutes before the hour. If you want to come over and participate in the Q&A, you can certainly do that. Just come over to our Zoom meeting. We still have lots of space over here. So thank you so much for everybody for coming. I want to thank Phil Easterling for his generous donation this week on our Ko-fi fund. So thank you very much, Phil. That was very nice for you. And welcome to all our staff today that are here. Welcome. I'm not going to go around to everybody. Welcome to Hewie. Wave Hewie, and then of course we have Bob and Ray and Bill and Dewey. They have all got things for you today, and it should be lots of fun. As you know, this is a Zoom meeting that we are talking with. The meeting today is Zoom. We of course record this, and this will be recorded and be available for playback later on today, as all our recordings are. We also have a second show that we run on Thursday, and this is called Tech for Senior Live, and that's where a gang of us get together for coffee and have a lot of fun talking about technology articles, which we post on our Facebook page every day. So if you want to get the latest in tech, just pop over to our Facebook page, and we'll certainly be happy to, and you'll see all the articles that are there. The premiere event that we have, people often ask, what's premiere? Well, at half past the hour after our meeting finishes, what we do is we rebroadcast what we did 1 year ago. I go into our show 1 year ago and look at articles that we've done. And what I do is I pick them out, strip them down so they're available in a nutshell for your computer club to use. And so today our premiere at 10:30 will be starting. It's free. It's just over on our YouTube channel. And Hewie will be talking about using PowerPoint in Zoom. And that's sort of cool. So that's what Hewie talked about a year ago. So he's going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about YouTube sponsorship, and Bob's going to talk about how to lock your screen. So those are the three items that will be on, and they automatically come on at 10:30. They are recorded, and then you're free to use them as much as you want. Use them for your computer club. It'll just be a video that's up there, so you can go and you can use them as you wish. We're going to get started on the show now because we have this huge show that we want to get through before in the next hour. So I'm going to let Bob take it away now. Bob, are you ready to roll?
Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending September 10th, 2021. Apple pauses plan to scan for CSAM. In an update on its child safety page, Apple announced last week that they are pausing plans to implement a feature that would scan iPads, iPhones, and iCloud photos for child sexual abuse materials. Based on feedback from customers, advocacy groups, researchers, and others, we have decided to take additional time over the coming months to collect input and make improvements before releasing these critically important child safety features, the update reads. There were very valid concerns over the plan Apple was about to deploy. Nobody challenges the goal. We are all in favor of eradicating CSAM, but at the same time, there has to be the utmost respect for the privacy of users, commented Avast's Louis Corones. According to Wired, when Apple announced the new feature in August, the backlash from privacy advocates cryptographers, and even Edward Snowden was near instantaneous. Support for victims of tech abuse. Technology misuse is often intertwined with other forms of abuse survivors are facing in their daily life, wrote the National Network to End Domestic Violence regarding the prevalence of technology-facilitated abuse they discovered in a survey of attendees at the 2018 Conference on Crimes Against Women. The most common reported tech abuse was unwanted or abusive text messages, followed by intimidation and threats via technology. But there were also reports of tracking and spying. Anybody who believes they are at risk of suffering tech abuse should follow the 7 easy steps to prevent stalkerware. Howard University cancels classes due to ransomware. Howard University, based in Washington, D.C., reported to the university community this week that it had been hit by ransomware attack, resulting in the canceling of classes in order to give the IT team, authorities, and the FBI more time to address and investigate the issue. Campus Wi-Fi was also taken down. The university said it would update the community on the issue each day at 2 p.m. So far, the university claims there is no evidence that any personal information has been exfiltrated. For more, see CNET. Programmers not mad at AI that could replace them. GitHub AI tool Copilot has one function: to predict the next character being typed. And while this function seems destined to replace the need for human programmers, coders like Avast's Janine Luke find the AI useful. Luke told the BBC she used Copilot to handle the more boring parts of coding, the tedious regular expressions. She said Copilot provides relatively good solutions, even though sometimes it requires some tweaking. One risk, Luke says, is that it can potentially violate open source licenses because it can cite something from the training set. Twitter tests new remove follower feature. Testing a new soft block privacy feature, Twitter is allowing users to remove followers without blocking them. We're making it easier to be the curator of your own followers list, Twitter support announced this week, tweeting the instructions on how to stop selected followers from receiving your tweets automatically in their feed. The removed follower will still be able to view your public tweets through manual search. It is a softer approach than blocking someone, which stops them completely from viewing your tweets and direct messaging you. For more, see The Verge. This week's must-read on the Avast blog. Steer clear of social media quizzes. The creators of these quizzes want them to appear meaningless and harmless. They want everyone to engage whimsically with them, because in truth, many are phishing attempts at your personal data. And even those that are not can be dangerous because bad actors are always scraping social media sites for data. Data scraping is when someone pulls publicly available information and builds profiles out of it. Read more by following the link below. You may also find my video on this topic helpful. And that wraps up this week's Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bob. Don't do polls unless you're on Zoom at Tech for Senior, right?
Got that one right.
All right, let's see what I'm going to share my screen, and let's see what Dewey has for us this week.
Good morning, friends. I'm Dewey, and my Tech Talk topic for today is life after Locast. For cord cutters and others, the recent sudden demise of Locast left roughly 2.5 million subscribers without full access to broadcast TV channels in their market area. And if that wasn't enough of a gut punch, cable and satellite TV growth over the years has contributed to millions of viewers literally forgetting about OTA TV and its many subchannels that have great entertainment and information content, but are not always included in cable TV channel lineups. These subchannels like 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, and so forth came about with the switch from analog to digital over-the-air broadcasting, TV broadcasting in 2009. In my opinion, they're sort of like a hidden treasure that's been out of sight, out of mind. And like hidden treasure, it's free. Free is good. A good, properly installed outdoor TV antenna always has the best reception, but that's not always a viable option for many TV viewers. Happily, Amazon, Walmart, and a few other stores carry high-tech, compact indoor flat panel antennas that usually produce spectacular results. Several years ago, I bought a stunningly excellent indoor flat panel TV antenna at Amazon for $22, about a 16th of an inch thick, made in China, of course. Probably the best indoor TV antenna available now at Amazon is the Gesselbyte Amplified HD Digital TV antenna at $28.95. Nearly 38,000 Amazon buyers have awarded it a high rating. These ultra-thin flat panel TV antennas are directional and yield their best reception when attached to or near an inside window that faces toward the area's TV transmitters farm. You know where all the transmitters are located. They're usually pretty much together. The Gesselbyte antenna comes with an 18-foot coaxial cable and is powered by a USB connector on your TV or an AC adapter. It weighs under a pound and is less than 14 inches wide. It also has several controls to optimize receptions. As with all newly installed TV antennas, a channel scan is required after installation. If using an antenna where you live works, great. You're all set to enjoy more good TV. And if that's definitely not an option for you, well, then listen up. According to Jared Newman, in an article at techhive.com last week, he said there's one alternative you might have overlooked. If you know anyone who's blessed with better over-the-air TV reception, you could enlist their help in streaming local channels remotely from their antenna. Well, think about it. That's an important sentence, which, by the way, the highlighting is mine. If you know anyone who's blessed with a better over-the-air TV reception, you can enlist their help in streaming local channels remotely from their antenna. Think of it as your own private version of Locast, one that's pretty much impossible for the networks to strangle. Sound intriguing? Well, here's what you need to know. Before going on, I need to mention that web tech articles that I reference, which include product reviews like Jared's article did, always have a disclaimer at the end of the article which reads something like this. Note, when you purchase something after clicking links in our articles, we may earn a small commission. Read our affiliate link policy for more details. Jared reviewed 5 Locast replacement devices, as I may call them, including 2 that are quite well known, AirTV and Tablo. A similar well-known third option, HD Home Run, wasn't included, presumably because it may not qualify as a possible Locast replacement. Consequently, I'm going to focus today on AirTV and Tablo. AirTV is owned by Dish Network and has 3 models. AirTV players may be accessed on Android or iOS through Dish's Sling TV app or the AirTV app. Using AirTV in these apps is free. Free is good. Also, all AirTV models now support 1080p HD and 4K Ultra HD. The Air Mini is $80 and needs a hard drive in order to DVR digital video recorder, recording the programs. It has Google Play access with Chromecast built in. The AirTV 2, it's It's a different model, runs $100, and also requires a hard drive, but has 2 TV tuners. Their top model, AirTV Anywhere, costs around $200, has a built-in hard drive and 4 TV tuners. AirTV players need to have a well-performing, high-definition capable TV antenna connected and connect to a router using either Wi-Fi or an Ethernet cable. A few users, however, do report occasional glitches. I've read that, so I thought I'd report it. AirTVs have no other fees and may be bought directly from Dish with a 30-day return option, or may be purchased from Amazon and a few other retailers. Their prices may vary. Installation is normally easy, but requires following directions carefully in the general setup and in setting up its channel guide. Also, watching TV on one channel while recording on another with AirTV requires an AirTV dual tuner adapter costing $30. AirTV players and accessories can be found at airtv.net products. Now here are pictures of their 3 models: the AirTV Mini, almost looks like a Chromecast, AirTV 2, and I have the rear side of it facing you so that you can see its RF connector, its Ethernet connector, USB port, and so forth. The AirTV Anywhere is a little taller and, of course, way more expensive. Regarding AirTV players, Jared Newman wrote that AirTV is the cheapest solution for setting up a remote OTA DVR. The tuner box connects to your Wi-Fi network, then streams video to the Sling TV app, either at home or on the road. Although AirTV optionally ties into Sling TV's live TV streaming service, that's going to cost you some bucks, you don't need a subscription to watch or record OTA channels. There's only one catch. Streaming is limited to one device outside the home, even with AirTV Anywhere. Now let's take a look at the other Locast replacement device, Tablo, and what Jared Newman at techhive.com had to say about Tablo. Strictly for in-home use, he says, Tablo DVRs are simple to set up, can stream local channels to a wide range of devices, and have powerful DVR features, including automatic ad skipping for an additional charge. Outside the home is a different story. By the way, TFSer Mike Ungerman is a huge proponent of Tablo, I might mention. Tablo streaming device support is narrower. Now, this is Jared Newman talking, and you must pair your devices on your cooperating friend's network before taking them elsewhere. As such, this is only worth considering as a Locast replacement if your friend is also an OTA enthusiast. The Tablo Dual Lite costs $150 and requires external storage. The Tablo Dual costs $170 and has 128 gigabytes of storage built in. The Tablo Quad costs $200 and requires external storage. I believe it has a SATA drive built in. It streams up to 4 live channels at a time instead of just 2. I checked the Tablo website, tablotv.com, and learned that there are 2 types of Tablo over-the-air DVRs, network connected and TV connected. Network connected Tablos are for cord cutters who watch TV on multiple TVs and devices in or away from their home. They don't feature an HDMI connection. Instead, these DVRs connect directly to your router, connect to your router and use Wi-Fi or Ethernet to stream live and recorded over-the-air TV to Tablo apps on a wide variety of internet-connected devices, again, in or away from your home. This approach gives cord cutters maximum flexibility to watch their favorite show, not only on smart TVs and streaming devices, but on smartphones, tablets, and so forth. Below are the current 4 network-connected Tablo models. the Tableau Dual Lite, Tableau Dual 120 gigabyte, Tableau Quad, and the Tableau Quad 1 terabyte. Now notice, interestingly, that two of these have a badge on them from TechHive calling it an editor's choice. Wonder how that happened. TV connected Tableau DVRs send video directly to your TV via an HDMI cable and also offer the flexibility to stream live and recorded TV to two additional TVs within the home via Roku, Fire TV, Android TV, and other smart TVs. Now there's pictures of the Tableau Dual HDMI and the Tableau Quad HDMI, very similar looking. This is about as far as I dare to go in explaining the basics of Air TV and Tableau as possible replacements for the now departed Locast. Jared Newman ended his article saying, the TV networks might have been able to stop Locast from redistributing OTA channels in bulk, but they can't prevent you from sharing them with a friend or two. Responding to the demise of Locast by creating your own miniature version might be just its own reward. Well, that's my Tech Talk story for today, and for certain, I'm sticking with it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, and the good Lord willing, we'll see you next week.
Ron Brown with Tech for Seniors. Sleep tracking with a watch. Hocus pocus? How does it work? Does it work? Which one is the best? Stay tuned and watch this video and you'll find out. Sleep trackers. How do they work? How do they gather the data? Today we're going to look at the Fitbit Sense and the Galaxy Watch 4, and we're going to do a head-to-head comparison and see which one is the best. Now, full disclaimer, I purchased both these watches out of my hard-earned retirement money. I am not sponsored, and the opinions in this video are mine alone. Now remember, if you like this video, please click the like, and if you want to subscribe to the channel, we'd sure appreciate it because it would help make more videos. Now let's get on with the show. So what is sleep? We need to define this before we can analyze it. Well, sleep is a naturally recurring state of mind and body, characterized by altered consciousness. Of course, we go to sleep, we get a bit tired. Relatively inhibited sensory activity. In other words, we don't hear or see. And reduced muscle activity and inhibition of nearly all voluntary muscles during REM sleep. Have you ever noticed if you have a bad dream and you're trying to call out, you can't call? That's because when your eyes are moving fast and you're in REM sleep, your muscles are paralyzed. Interesting, eh? With reduced interactions with surroundings. It is distinguished from wakefulness by a decreased ability to react to stimuli. You can usually push people and they probably wouldn't wake up. Some do if they're in a lighter sleep, but deep sleep you probably wouldn't. But more reactive than a coma or disorders of consciousness, with sleep displaying different active brain patterns. Well, let's look at these brain patterns now. Sleep is made up of 4 stages. There's the awake stage. We then move into a light sleep stage, then a deeper sleep, followed by a lighter sleep, which is REM, or the rapid eye movement sleep. So the 4 stages of sleep are awake, light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep. So let's look at the stages of sleep. Stage 1 is a light sleep, or the awake sleep, and this is just as you're closing your eyes and moving into a early sleep stage. Then we have the light sleep, and this is where, or stage 2, and this is where your heart rate slows down and your body temperature goes down a bit. Then we moved into a deep sleep, and deep sleep is where the repair of your muscles and organs in your body occurs. This is where all the healing occurs. It's like the fountain of youth. If we could just make all our sleep deep sleep, we would probably get younger as we get older. Pretty cool, eh? But deep sleep is where the big stuff happens. Then we're followed by REM, which is the rapid eye movement sleep. This usually follows deep sleep, and is a much lighter sleep. But remember, your eyes are moving and you're paralyzed. Interesting. We'll see how this works in a minute. Now, through the night, you go through different sleep cycles. And how many cycles you go through is highly variable. But in this diagram, you'll see that we have about 5 cycles that someone would have gone through. And you'll see that you move from stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. You get into deep sleep. Then as you come out of the sleep, there's a period of REM, and then you go back down. And so through your night, you go through different cycles of these stages of sleep. And this is how it normally works. Polysomnography. Oh boy, I get to use some complicated terminology. Well, I'm a doctor. I should be able to do that, right? So polysomnography. No, it's polysomnography. There you go. And this is the art of actually recording and interpreting your sleep. And how we do this is through a polysomnogram or a PSG. And this is done by someone who might be a polysomnographer. Right, that's right. So this is the art of defining and analyzing your sleep patterns overnight. Now, if you see on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see a gentleman who is hooked up, and you'll see some stickies on his head. These are, of course, the EEG. You'll see a little pulse oximeter on his finger. We're going to measure his oxygen. And you'll also see some sticky things on his chest. We're going to do his ECG. And there's multiple other sensors on there, leading to an analysis overnight, which is called a polysomnogram, or a PSG. And this is what would be produced in a sleep lab to diagnose the different stages of sleep. So how does a watch do that? Certainly when you wear your watch overnight and it tells you all these sleep things, it's not having all that stuff stuck all over you. It's doing it through the sensors in the back of the watch. Now, what do these sensors measure? Well, they measure your respiratory rate, heart rate variability, movement, and temperature. Those are the basic sensors that we have in the back of our watch, and both the Fitbit Sense and Galaxy Watch 4 have. So how does it take that information and tell you what your brainwaves are doing? Hold on here. Remember, the sleep analysis that we just looked at is brainwaves in your brain. How do they take those features we just discussed and come up with how much REM sleep you had? Well, that's very interesting. And that's what we call an algorithm. And this is how each of the companies do it. And they have their own proprietary algorithm. They take that data and come up with the results, which we're going to talk about today. Now, how do they do that? They won't tell us. And each proprietary standard is different. And there are no standards. Each device has its own calculation. And did you know you get a $10 watch that has sensors on it that will tell you exactly how you slept at night? But nobody knows how they create the data. There's a great deal of variation, as you'll see today in our analysis, between the devices, and there certainly is no standardization to medical definition. So I took my Fitbit Sense on one wrist and my Galaxy Watch 4 on the other and went to bed. I did this for 3 nights and analyzed the data. So let's see what I found. So before we look at the data, I'd like you to look at my medical history. Later in life, I had a more difficult time sleeping. At my request about 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with sleep apnea and have worn a CPAP machine while sleeping. The CPAP machine probably saved my life. I can plead with you, if you think you have sleep apnea, please get checked out, because it really is a life-changing experience to finally be able to sleep. I still have problems getting to sleep, though. I don't take any sleeping medication, and I don't take any medication that would interfere with my sleep. Now, as you can see in the diagram here on the right side, my sleep surroundings are excellent. This is day 1. Now, my assessment of how I slept was a little less than average. Now, let's look at the time slept. How long did I sleep for that night? Well, I look in the center, you'll see my CPAP recording, and this is the time on the CPAP machine was 7 hours and 22 minutes. Now this is pretty exact because when I wear my CPAP machine, I put it on just as I get into bed and I take it off when I get out of bed. So we know this is the exact time that I had the CPAP machine on. Now, in some CPAP machines, it might say something about sleep time. This is a misnomer. The number you see here is simply time on machine. Now, if you look on the left side in the dark area, you'll see it. The Galaxy Watch 4 tells me I slept for 6 hours and 23 minutes. And it did an analysis and said my sleep score is 59. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. On the right side, it says the Fitbit Sense said my sleep time was 5 hours and 15 minutes. Okay, well, a little bit of difference there. Now, if you look down on the Galaxy Watch 4, you'll see that the graph shows that I started out sleep, and then I went into a deep sleep, then I came up, and then I had some REM sleep, and then woke up around midnight, probably to have a pee, then back down into sleep, but I didn't get back into deep sleep. Anyway, you can follow the graph along there, and you'll see about 3 a.m. things started to go wrong, and I just couldn't really sleep, tossed and turned, probably worried about a show or something that I was doing. And so I didn't have a super good night. And look at the data, you can see the various sleep stages and the time that I was in those stages. Now, the same thing happens over on the other side. If you look at the Fitbit Sense, you'll see the graph below and all the different stages that I was in. But if you compare the analysis between the Galaxy Watch 4 and the Fitbit Sense, you'll see that in deep sleep, the Fitbit Sense said that I had 42 minutes of deep sleep, whereas the Galaxy Watch 4 said I only had 16 minutes. Well, that's a big difference. The Galaxy Watch 4 said that I was in light sleep for around 4 hours, and the Fitbit Sense said I was in light sleep for 4 hours and 18 minutes. The Galaxy Watch 4 showed me as sort of the early stages of sleep is 1 hour and 21 minutes, but the Fitbit Sense only said I was in that stage for 47 minutes. So right off the bat, you can see that, well, the total time was fairly straightforward between the two. The actual analysis of the different stages is really quite different. Also, the assessment of my sleep was probably right on. Both the Fitbit Sense and Galaxy Watch 4 rated me as fair, and I think that was a reasonable assessment of how I slept and my clinical analysis of that. So let's look at day 2. All right, so this is day 2, and I had a terrible sleep. My mind was racing, I couldn't sleep very well, and my evaluation of my sleep that night was just terrible. Okay, so let's look at what actually happened. So if you look in the center, you'll see, yes, my CPAP machine was on for 8 hours. In fact, I was in bed hooked up to my machine for 8 hours. Well, let's see how much of that I slept. Well, the Galaxy Watch 4 gave me a very poor score at 26, and I would agree with that. I don't think that was a very good assessment. I don't think I slept very well. All right, let's see what my actual sleep time was. 4 hours. Well, okay, how did that compare to the Fitbit Sense? Well, again, the Fitbit Sense got it almost right at 4 hours and 19 minutes. That's pretty close, both of them. But let's again look at the stages of sleep. All right, we have deep sleep on the Fitbit Sense of 56 minutes, and we have no deep sleep at all in the with the Galaxy Watch 4. But first, what did we learn? Well, we learned that sleep scores vary between devices. We know that stages of sleep are recorded differently, and the time spent in each stage is highly variable. I had a great sleep on day 3. I had a great sleep, and I went back to sleep a little bit later as well, and you can see that in my sleep score. So let's look at the time on with my CPAP machine, which means the time I was in bed connected to the machine was 8 hours and 35 minutes. Well, that's pretty good, I think. And the Galaxy Watch 4 agreed with me. They said that I was sleeping for 8 hours and 16 minutes. That's pretty cool. And they gave me a sleep score of 64. Well, that was certainly a lot better than the 24 I got with the poor sleep. So yes, that makes sense. Let's go look over and see what the Fitbit Sense said. Well, they said I didn't have a good night's sleep. They gave me a poor rating, and they said my sleep time was 2 hours and 39 minutes. What? 2 hours and 39 minutes versus 8 hours and 16 minutes. There's something different here. So what value are sleep trackers? Well, Dr. Alan Schwartz at the Sleep Disorder Center at Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center says, while sleep trackers can collect a lot of information about your slumber habits, there's one important thing they generally don't do, he says, and they don't measure sleep directly. Instead, they often measure inactivity as a surrogate for examining sleep, he explains. Most sleep tracking devices make some guesstimate as to how much you're actually sleeping. And here's the fact, is that these algorithms that take the data that the sleep trackers collect are guessing. And that's why there's such a high variability between individual sleep trackers. So the final word, for exact data about your sleep habits, you'd have to do a medical sleep study, remember that we talked about earlier, which monitors brainwave activity to analyze the various stages of sleep that you cycle through each night. Now, how do sleep trackers you wear around the wrist work? They guess. They guess at the data that they're getting, and it's highly variable. So in summary, tracking devices are useful to observe trends in your sleep. It allows you to modify your environment, food take, alcohol use, or local surroundings and see results. It also allows you to develop more interest in a serious problem that can affect your health, insomnia. Also, it provides some user-friendly graphs and reports that are helpful to reflect on, but not replace the medical advice from your healthcare provider. So which watch won? Well, that's hard to know. I think that they're probably about the same. I think the results of sleep tracking are amusing at best. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. Please watch my upcoming video called The Misunderstood Galaxy Watch 4, which should be out in about a week. Till we meet again, have a great day. All right, so we might have some questions about that later. Let's see, Bob, are you up, ready to go?
Yep. What's the difference between a firewall and a VPN? Let me start off by saying that both are essential for network security. You've probably heard of a firewall. You may have heard of a VPN, but what's the difference? Since we're living in a time when most people are ultra conscious of germs and what they're touching, maybe the easiest way to explain the differences between a firewall and a VPN is like this. Think of a firewall as a rubber glove. It blocks bad stuff from getting to you, but it also does more than that. A VPN is more like an invisible cloak. It keeps the bad guys from knowing your location and activities. Unfortunately, it can't block viruses, so it's always good to pair a VPN with a firewall and antivirus software. Companies usually use VPNs to let employees securely access remote servers from locations outside the office, while regular folks make use of VPNs when surfing the web in their coffee shop of choice. Firewalls are used by both home and corporate networks to protect computers and devices. What is a VPN? A virtual private network hides your IP address, which is the string of numbers that identifies your device. It works by routing your network connection through a remote server, protecting you from those trying to find your location and other valuable data. A VPN is essential when you're using public Wi-Fi or working remotely, as it encrypts your traffic and protects your information while it's in transit. It's like a private line to directly access a corporate server or a secure network from anywhere. When you use a VPN, your internet service provider, government websites, and the websites you often visit won't have a way of knowing your true location. If you really care about your browsing privacy and data security, a VPN is your best bet. On the downside, as previously mentioned, a VPN can protect your computer from viruses. You can't set up security rules on VPNs. To monitor for and erase viruses, you'll need antivirus software. To block viruses from entering your network and to prevent data from being stolen, you'll need a firewall. So what are firewalls? A firewall watches incoming and outgoing traffic on your network. Firewalls block attacks automatically and also allow you to set security preferences for what you let into your network or computer. If you don't program a firewall to block a certain kind of site, content, or traffic, it won't, even if that site has content that could hurt your system. There are actually two types of firewalls: a hardware or network firewall. Hardware firewalls are physical devices that are placed between your computer and the internet. Their disadvantage is that they are separate devices that often require professional support for configuration and maintenance. Software firewalls. Software firewalls can control the internet access and behavior of programs on your computer. Most computer operating systems include a basic built-in software firewall feature, but firewall software is also available separately from computer stores and trusted online vendors. If you are tech savvy, use both. For virtually all home systems, the software firewall is more than adequate. So what should you use? A firewall or a VPN? The answer is both. Set up a firewall along with a VPN. A VPN, like Avast Secure Line VPN, will hide your online activity and allow you to transfer data securely without slowing down your connection, even on public Wi-Fi. But alone, it can't protect your devices from downloaded viruses or spyware. If you click a bad link on a malicious site, you may still be vulnerable. So a firewall will let you know before you visit potentially harmful sites. Even if you don't consider yourself to be tech savvy, Avast Advanced Firewall can be quickly customized to your settings with simple controls. A smart profile setting automatically detects the number of devices on your network and sets your profile to private or public mode to protect you from intruders. Installing an efficient and strong firewall around your network is essential. It's a great way to secure your system from invasion and data theft. Comprehensive protection should include a firewall, VPN, and an intuitive antivirus program like Avast Free Antivirus. The latest Avast Free Antivirus also includes a firewall. Avast Secure Line VPN is an excellent addition to round out your protection. I've used their free antivirus product since 2003. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bob. Great news. And Hewie, are you ready to roll?
I am. If I hit the right buttons here.
The Starlink report.
This is the Starlink Report. For September 13th, 2021, I'm Hewie Poplock. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and of course, ask for notifications. Many communities across the country and the world still lack access to broadband connectivity. The goal with Starlink is to close that digital divide and provide access to this innovative, cost-effective, and spectrum-efficient technology of Starlink. To date, SpaceX has deployed 1,740 satellites in low Earth orbit, but the goal is to get all the way up to 12,000 for their constellation. All this since May 2019, when SpaceX launched its first batch of operational Starlink satellites. Back on January 24th, SpaceX launched 10 satellites into polar orbit, and another 3 Starlink payloads launched in a similar orbit in June. These satellites are in polar orbit and feature the laser links. This upgrade allows SpaceX to provide internet connectivity near the poles and in other regions without ground stations. Ground stations take a long time to communicate with satellites, which affects data transfers. Musk claims that with laser satellites, the speed will be 40% faster than what optical fibers offer right now. All this without any equipment on the ground. During the 36th Annual Space Symposium in August, we learned from SpaceX's President Gwen Shotwell that they've been busy rushing to complete manufacturing the first batches of their next-generation satellites, and those next-gen satellites are equipped with laser communication links. The next launch will be from Vandenberg Space Force Base. This will be the first Starlink mission launched from California. The mission is assigned the name Starlink 2-1. It will be deployed into different orbital parameters. This is the first of the next generation Starlink Gen 2 system satellites. The next launch will be 51 Starlink satellites atop the Falcon 9 rocket. It will be the 29th operational Starlink mission, boosting the total number of Starlink satellites to 1791. This next launch is scheduled for Monday, September 13th. Hey, that's today! Scheduled liftoff is 8:55 p.m. Pacific Time and 11:55 Eastern Time. The surge of COVID-19 has been impacting rocket launches due to a shortage of liquid oxygen. In fact, this is something that Shotwell confirmed. She even said if anyone has any spare liquid oxygen, to send her an email. Elon Musk said via Twitter, data packets do not need to touch. Regular internet data can flow from user terminal to satellites to user terminal. The aviation and maritime sectors, both military and commercial, offer huge potential markets for Starlink that can only be tapped with laser linking. The crosslinks are the key to truly getting lower latency than fiber optic cable, especially over long distances. Ground stations will still be relevant, but having these next-gen satellites with laser links will enable communications from one satellite to another on the same or adjacent orbital plane. A ground station does not have to be in the same satellite footprint as user terminals. It's not just going to reduce the number of ground stations needed for global coverage. Laser crosslinks can also lower latency because they reduce the number of hops between the satellites and those ground stations. This isn't the only shortage that's affecting SpaceX. Not only are they dealing with less liquid oxygen to go around, but there's also a chip shortage, and that is causing some major problems, especially for those waiting on Starlink user terminals. Elon Musk has confirmed the possibility that this could delay launches, but right now he says it's a risk, but not yet a limiting factor. There is a delay in wait times for Starlink, but you can still place your pre-order on Starlink's website. Some users are now getting the message that their order won't be fulfilled until 2023 or later. SpaceX CFO Brett Johnson revealed some manufacturing numbers. Right now, SpaceX is only making about 5,000 Starlink dishes per week, but in October it hopes to meet consumer demand. The company currently has over 600,000 pre-orders for the service that is still in beta, and they're only producing the 5,000 a week. They do have quite the backlog with the chip shortage and their current capabilities to produce those dishes. They do expect that number to multiply in the coming months. According to Johnson, SpaceX will have a newer user terminal coming this fall. It's rumored to be smaller and to be square-shaped. It's also going to be cheaper, but it will still cost SpaceX money to produce. It's unclear if you, as the consumer, will experience a price drop just yet. This should mean that they will be able to turn out multiples of their current 5,000 dishes a week. The dishes are actually quite expensive to produce. They originally cost $3,000 per user terminal. Now it's about $1,300, but they're going to keep trying to drive these costs down. You are still paying $499 for your dish as the consumer, and it's unknown if and when that price will drop. The new dish is rumored to be smaller. It's also rumored to be square-shaped, and that could obviously kill the nickname Dishy McFlatface. The video that this came from was from Hyperchange, and do note and take a look at that video where they explain and produced the drawing of what they think is what the new dish will look like. That's it for the
Starlink report.
For this September 13th, 2021. I'm Hewie Poplock. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Hewie. That was great. That was really good. We are going to say goodbye to our YouTube friends as Ray tees up for his music segment. Thank you for coming. If you're over on YouTube, we have room for you over here on our Zoom meeting. If you want to come over and participate in the question and answer, you're most welcome. Now we're going to, I'm going to stop the stream over to YouTube. We'll see you next week. And Ray, do you want to get going?
Let's see what I have today. All right, talked about movie musicals and the fact that they're not as common as they used to be. If I looked at the IMDb database of the top 20 musicals of all time, only movies from the 21st century was Chicago, The Phantom of the Opera, and Les Miserables. In fact, the 17 other movies were all released before 1980. But I'm thinking that might change. If you consider Hamilton from last year and Cinderella now, maybe there's a change coming. So the Amazon original movie Cinderella debuted earlier this month on Prime Video. Now, some of you may have already seen it because it was reported that over 1.1 million households streamed the movie, with Amazon claiming it was the most watched video on demand title over the Labor Day weekend. Now, my wife Carol really convinced me to watch this, and I got to admit, I was reluctant to watch a fairy tale movie where I already knew the ending. Guess what? I was wrong about knowing the ending. And to my surprise, I enjoyed this modern day Cinderella. Like Hamilton, which also had a unique way it told the story of one of America's founding fathers, much of the dialogue is sung rather than spoken. The music is a combination of original tunes combined with those you might recognize from the 80s, such as Janet Jackson's Rhythm Nation, Queen's Somebody to Love, and it also included recent hits like Ed Sheeran's Perfect. Now, Camila Cabello, and now she's a 24-year-old Cuban-born American singer and very popular in the Hispanic music community. She plays the part of Cinderella, and she uses the name of the movie Ella. And I think she steals the show with her powerful voice and comedic delivery. Nicholas Galsine, a relatively unknown English actor, plays the role of Crown Prince Robert. Pierce Bronson is King Rowan, with wife Queen Beatrice, played by Minnie Driver. And let's not forget Vivian, the stepmother. She's not really wicked in this movie. The stepmother is played by Idina Menzel. The idea to reinterpret Cinderella came from late night or late show TV host James Corden, who produced the film and has a minor starring role when he's not doing the voiceover for a mouse. Yes, so far the critics seem to be evenly split with both likes and dislikes. Nonetheless, if you want to see a modern approach to the telling of a classic children's story and hear some good music at the same time for those Amazon Prime members, Cinderella is a worthwhile choice. The modern Cinderella.
I gotta watch it. I got my Amazon Prime. That's great.
I
Thanks,
liked
Ray.
it. I liked
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Some didn't, but I did.
Hey, it's great. Thank you.
What are they charging for it, Ray?
Well, if you have Amazon Prime, it's free.
What?
Oh,
Free?
really?
Oh,
Yeah, you just watch it. Yeah, it's part of the movie, all the movies that they provide on Amazon Prime. As I always tell people, if you're unsure about streaming, and I'm not sure how many people today are, but if you're unsure and you have Amazon Prime, use it because you've already paid for it.
that's right. Yeah, that's a good point. Listen, it's top of the hour. I want to thank everyone for being here. Wow, I'm tired. That was an action-packed show. Holy mackerel, we did it today. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming. We're going to move into the question and answer part of our show now for the next 20 minutes. And then we're going to give everyone a rest for 10 minutes. And then we move into the premiere version where we're going to have Hewie talking on PowerPoint and Zoom. I'm going to be talking on sponsorship with YouTube, and Bob's going to tell you how to lock your screen. And that will be on at 1:30. So you know the routine. If you want to ask a question, now there's got to be a lot of questions after today. There's got to be a ton of questions. If you want to ask a question, just click the little reaction symbol at the bottom there, and you'll come up to the top of our screen. I see Carl's ready for us, and you can ask your question, and we'll try and answer it. Carl, go ahead.
Wow. I don't know where to start, in space or in my bed.
I know it's a big show today. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Listen, I want to ask Ray, when will it be available on Amazon? I have Amazon Prime.
It's available now. It came out on Labor Day weekend. And if you just go to Amazon Prime and scroll down, you'll see Cinderella.
Great, thank you. The other question I have for you, Ron, is I'm also on a sleep apnea machine, and I have the BiPAP machine, which is a 2 pressure. My pressures are 25 and 20, and that's the only thing that keeps my throat open. Do you have a BiPAP or do you have a single pressure?
Just single pressure.
Okay.
That's by probably 90% of the people just have the CPAP, not a BiPAP. See, a BiPAP machine, of course, is much more complicated because you have the dual pressure system in it. So no, mine's just it's a ResMed. That's made by a company called ResMed, and they make the single PAP. It's just a CPAP.
Yeah, I don't want to capsize this. We could talk about it for hours offline, but I could not use the single pressure. It would pause, and I felt like I was being choked when it paused. But the BiPAP is so easy. It's so natural.
Yeah.
It works great. Just wanted to pass it on. Thank you.
Thanks, Carl. Terry, go ahead. Sorry, unmute yourself, Terry. There you go.
Yeah, I'm sorry I ran into the start of the show there.
Yeah, no problem. Chromebook question. Hey, Hewie and I do a Chromebook session once a month. Learning Chromebooks. So we actually do a course on it. So.
Well, I sent information so that she could tune in to you and learn how to use that Chromebook for a center.
Yep.
But she is handicapped into the left side of her body is paralyzed. She can't use her left hand. She can't walk anymore. She's trying. But anyway, she's watched you on Tech for Seniors along with me, recommended by Bill James. Bill's helped my sister as well. But anyway, hopefully you'll see her and understand she's operating in a nursing home with a handicap.
Well, there's a lot of accessibility features on a Chromebook as well. So make sure that she looks at some of those because Chromebooks are really part of the design of them is for people with handicaps. So there's a ton of accessibility features.
And
Well, I know
Terry,
nothing about Chromebook.
I have a Chromebook. Terry, I have a Chromebook, so if she wants to call me, that's fine.
Okay, I think she has your number as well.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Bill.
Yeah, great. Thanks. And make sure that she signs up for our newsletter, right? Make sure that, Terry, if you haven't done so, just head over to Tech for Senior, the website, make sure she's on the list. And then we'll send her some information.
I did send her daughter information and her daughter's husband is setting it up right now for her. So hopefully she'll be able to view your show, the next one you have. And
well,
we'll see how it goes.
we're here every Monday. We've been doing it this is the 77th show we've done, and we haven't even taken a day off for Christmas or whenever, right? We just keep going like the ever ready batteries.
I'm sure she'll appreciate any help she can get.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Come on, there's got to be some questions. You've got to be kidding.
Comments?
Well, I guess I raised my hand.
I didn't see it, but you can talk.
No, I have it up now.
There you go.
Ron, I'm looking at my app on my phone, on my watch, and I have this heart rate, and all I have is 73 BPM. It doesn't give both the upper or bottom numbers. So what is it telling me?
So I'm assuming you're not talking about blood pressure, are you? We're talking about the
blood pressure.
Are you talking about the blood pressure part now? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. So just to let everybody know what we're talking about, so everyone's on the same page. The Galaxy 4 watch is the first watch to be licensed in the United States that actually measures your blood pressure. And it does this in a very interesting way. And I'm going to do a video on that because that's the reason. One of the reasons I bought mine is because I want to do blood pressure with it so I can tell everyone how it works. But anyway, so it measures your blood pressure. And that's what Bill is talking about now, is sort of how to set that up. And it was interesting because the app now works. Like I've been waiting on the news service to try, because the blood pressure and cardiac app didn't work initially when the watch came out, but there was an update in the software, and boom, I guess the FDA approved the blood pressure and the cardiac version of the app on that watch. So it now works. And I know that because Dewey's been measuring he's been using the cardiac app and making sure he doesn't have the atrial fibrillation. So how to use the blood pressure? Well, the blood pressure, I can't actually do the blood pressure part because I don't have the app on my Galaxy 4 watch. It's not released in Canada. So that I'm waiting for the Canadian people to get organized that. But here's how it works. And I can't tell you exactly that, but you will need to take your blood pressure in your arm. In other words, you have to have the unit on your arm, and you take a reading, right? And then you put that reading into the watch. So there will be a calibration or where you have to put that in. And so if your blood pressure on your arm is 140/90, and then you enter that number into the watch. Now that means for that particular time of day at that particular spot, that's what your blood pressure is. Otherwise, the watch doesn't know. And what the watch does is it measures the change in the blood pressure from that 140/90. So the blood pressure, your blood pressure could go up or it could go down. And as it fluctuates as a reference to the blood pressure that you put in there. Okay. That's why it has to be calibrated. And you need to calibrate it once a month. And so you need to sort of put that in. So you will need a blood pressure cuff for your arm. Now, how specifically that works, I don't have the app, so I can't tell you that. That's what I want to do the video on, but I don't have the app yet.
And Ron, looking at this, I do not see where I can actually do any calibration.
I don't know. I can't answer that because I don't have it. So I don't know. I don't know how to do that.
I'm looking. I don't have that option, but it is measuring it, and it measures it. It looks like on the hour.
Well, your blood pressure, of course, is two numbers. It's a top number, which is systolic, and that's the top pressure in the system. And there should be a bottom number, which is the bottom pressure. So is it measuring your, are you looking at your pulse or are you looking at your blood pressure?
It says BPM,
Okay.
beats per minute.
So, but it should give you a 2-digit, it should give you the top and bottom numbers. So I am going to say that there's probably a YouTube video on that. So I would think that there's probably a YouTube. Yeah. So that would be my recommendation. I could look that up as well. I'm interested as well. I don't know because I don't.
And it's also showing my blood oxygen now too.
Yep. That should.
Ron.
Yep.
BPM. That sounds to me like he's getting his heart rate.
Yeah.
Not blood pressure.
Not blood pressure. You're right.
No,
yeah.
It's his heart rate.
Yeah. You're probably not in the right spot.
Correct. You're looking at your heart rate.
You're looking at.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. I didn't know what I was.
Yeah, you're probably looking at your heart rate. You're not looking at your blood pressure.
And now I see it does say heart rate.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So that's what you're looking at. You're not looking at your blood pressure.
Sometimes you don't have to be a doctor. You just have to listen.
Yes.
You just have to have heart.
Yeah, yeah. But it's really, so everyone's wondering, so is this life shattering? Should everyone race out to get this or what's with this? It is valid. It is being approved by the FDA in, of course, in South Korea, and it's being available on the Galaxy Watch 3 as well. And it's a sensor that, and it's being approved in the United States now. So it is very valid. It's being approved by the FDA. And it does give you accurate blood pressure readings. I think it's fun. I don't think it's life-saving. I don't think you need to race out and get it. Is it going to save your life? But I think it's really cool. I think it's really interesting. And if it promotes more enthusiasm about your blood pressure, you can go into your doctor and say, hey, look at this. It's on my watch now. I've done it every day and blah, 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 blah. And that's great. So it provides lots of enthusiasm for that. Bill, go ahead.
Does VPN allow you to work in the U.S.?
Sorry, I can't hear you. What was the question?
You say that you're not approved for the blood pressure in Canada yet, but it is in the U.S. Can you use VPN to access it in the U.S.?
Yeah. You should, like Bill has it on his watch, and Dewey has it on his watch, where you can do the cardiac and blood pressure assessments now if you have the Galaxy 4 watch. Now you will be able.
You can use a VPN.
A VPN?
Yes.
Oh, I see. No.
No.
It won't work like that. No, you can't do that. No.
Nope.
No, that's not gonna.
Okay.
Work. Now I'm going to be flying down to Mesa probably the end of October. If it's not approved in Canada, I'll probably load it on my watch then, and it'll probably. I'm assuming it'll once it's loaded there, it'll probably just work in Canada. So we'll see if it doesn't get approved. But but Samsung's pretty good. They're pretty aggressive on getting this approved in different countries. So I assume it'll probably be available here pretty quick. Go ahead, Jim.
You are muted. You are muted.
There we go.
There you go.
Any plans on talking about the Waze watch? That it has the oxygen and heart rate.
Yep. But it tells you right in your description that that's not FDA approved. That is simply there for you to get an idea, but don't count on it.
Yeah, well, Pfizer's not FDA approved either, and I've had those shots. So
Pfizer is now FDA approved.
One of the things you have to remember, Jim, is that when we talk about medical devices, the blood pressure capability and the ECG app are both FDA approved. So we know that they're valid. The research is being done. It's done. The problem with oxygen, and we talked about this, I did a video about that I played last week, I think it was, and the problem with oxygen is that any Tom, Dick, and Harry can do it. It's not licensed, it's not regulated. You can get a $10 watch that will supposedly tell you what your oxygen level is. And so what good is that? Well, I don't know. That's something you need to talk to your healthcare provider, and if you can work with them and figure out how that might be valuable, that's something you'll have to discuss. But I don't see it. I see there is a lot of potential. Like, for example, if I did my oxygen level now on my watch and it told me it was 50, I feel fine. I'm doing the middle of a show, 50, I should be in ICU, and they should be doing a resuscitation event on me, So what does it mean? What does the results really mean? And can you do anything about those results? So that's part of the problem. And but I think in a coordinated aspect of your health, if you're working with your healthcare provider, then that might be something that might be valuable to do that. I'm going to probably do one on the ECG app next week, so I'll talk about cardiac stuff next week.
Ron, on the oxygen, you could just compare that with your regular oxygen sensor, even though neither one are certified, the finger type.
Yeah, I mean, you can buy a pulse oximeter that you put on your finger for $25-$30, and you could. I'm not saying that the results are not always valid, but people wear the watches on their wrists. They're sometimes loose. They're flopping around. They're hot and they're sweaty. There's all sorts of stuff that could be a problem here. And I think it's a lot like the sleep aspect. I think it's amusing, and if it promotes better dialogue with your doctor to develop a coordinated approach to medical problems, then that's probably a good thing, right?
I think it needs to be recognized that if you have a phone with your Galaxy Watch 4, a phone that has a special sensor on it for oxygen, you can then get a clinically accurate blood oxygen reading.
So yeah, in fact, Google Fit actually has an interesting, one of the most popular apps that's been downloaded, that there's 100 million of them have been downloaded, is Google Fit, and the Google Fit app. And if you download that, it's about your health, and you can actually take your finger and put it on the back of the lens of the camera, and it will do an analysis and give you your pulse. I'm not sure. It wouldn't do your oxygen off your fingertip, but it does your pulse for sure. So it's sort of interesting. Well, we have a couple of minutes left, and then we're going to let everybody have a little rest. Actually, 1 minute. Why don't we? We've got one quick. Annie, do you have a quick question?
You're muted, Annie.
Unmute yourself. Annie, can you unmute yourself?
I did.
There you go. Yeah. Do you have a quick question for us?
This is reference to the earlier questions about a credit card. Mm-hmm. My granddaughter is getting married, wedding celebration in a hotel. She sent a link to the hotel, their website, and so on. And there was a 1-800 number for reservations. So I phoned this 1-800 number. I'm in Canada, and the hotel is in Vancouver Island. And so I got this gentleman, and I always ask where they're from. And he said he was from South Texas, which seemed unusual. But he said, we're working from home. And anyway, we went through the process. Everything sounded legitimate. I gave him my credit card number, and he sent me a confirmation with an ID number, and the hotel. Everything looked very legitimate. So a few days ago, I was talking to a family member, and we were comparing our reservation, and she said, my number doesn't look anything like that. And they didn't tell me that it was going to be in US funds, which is what I had been told. So I phoned the bank credit card, and there was a charge for $5.95. And they checked it, and they said, well, it looks legitimate. And then there's been no other charges. So they thought it was legitimate. So I ultimately phoned the hotel, and the hotel did not have my reservation, had never heard of charging $5.95. And so back to the credit card, and they canceled my card. They're going to send me another one, and they're going to refer it to their legal department.
Right.
So my question is, I'm phoning what looks like a legitimate number. How could I tell that it was a scam?
Well, the first question
go to the hotel direct.
Go to the hotel direct. Yeah.
which is what you did to confirm, and they told you that was not legit.
Right. Because we ran into this and unfortunately we have to close soon. But one of the problems we had last year was someone wanted to help installing their Epson printer, and so they went online and they looked down the menu, and there were 20 or 30 sites that helped you install your Epson printer. And of course, they're all bogus sites. They're all trying to scam you, right? And so how do you know the real one from the fake ones? And this individual, of course, phoned the number, and Epson answered, which wasn't Epson. He allowed them access into his computer, and of course, life just got bad after that, right? The things didn't go well. So Annie, it's a very hard problem. You don't know on that phone number you're going to call who that number is going to. So it's a very difficult one. Another reason why PayPal and Apple Pay and Sept are all better options, because they don't get that number. All right, Martha, I'm sorry I don't have time to do your question this week. We'll maybe do it next week. It is now 20 past. We need to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much for everyone for coming. We still have a lot of people in the room who stuck it out for a long time. We'll see everybody in a week. Don't forget, Thursday, Tech for Senior Live. We're going to be talking about all sorts of good stuff, maybe even about the new Apple Watch or the new iPhone. Should be out by then. And we will, and don't forget about our premiere that starts in about 10 minutes. Have a watch of that, and we'll talk to everybody in a week's time. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.